All right, guys. So this is going to be what is now my third lucid dreaming live stream. However, really, it's only the second one. And I know there's nobody here at the moment, but basically, I'm going to. This is for the recording. I'm mainly saying this. So I'm going to be actually going live on Instagram as well. If you just bear with me a second. Hey, guys. Nice to see you coming in here. So in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically explain how to lucid dream tonight. And when I say tonight, I mean literally like if you've not had a lucid dream before, how you can go from having no experience in this and knowing nothing, having not had any of these experiences before, to actually having your first lucid dream tonight. If you've already had a lucid dream before, that's fine. You know, it'll just be a tip or a method that you can use. I'm actually going to reveal my a lucid dreaming technique that I've invented. I've created this technique called the 90-ILD, the 90-induced lucid dream. I've not shared this before. I have written a blog post about it on my site, How to Lucid, but I haven't actively promoted this yet, and I haven't really spoken about it on my videos. So this is quite an exciting live stream. If you're here, you're going to be seeing some groundbreaking stuff, some never before seen. That's not just clickbait or click words, whatever. That's the truth. I haven't revealed this technique before now. So bear with me a second. I'm just going to go and get set up on Instagram Live as well. I've not actually gone live on Instagram before, so I assume it's fairly easy to do. So I'm just going to set this up here, and it's just going to check the connection. So I'm seeing some questions coming in. I think we're now live on Instagram as well, which is at How to Lucid, if you don't follow me there already. So nice to see you guys coming in here, putting some questions in the chat box. Don't be scared, don't be shy. I don't bite. I would like to see some questions in the chat box. That does make it a lot easier. However, don't worry if you don't have any questions, because I do actually have some specific things that I want to share. As I said, the 90-ILD, the brand new lucid dreaming technique, which I have not revealed yet. The 90-ILD is a method or a technique which combines most, if not all, of the other most effective lucid dreaming techniques. It puts them all into one, and generally makes the whole thing easier. I guess the catch line or the tagline for this technique is it will enable you to lucid dream at least once or twice the first night you try it. I don't want to say it's guaranteed, because I know people are going to say like nothing's guaranteed, like you can't make these claims. But I truly believe, and I'll explain why, I truly believe that this technique is groundbreaking. And I'd love to hear your opinions on it. So I'm just looking at some of these questions. What I might do actually is just go through a couple of questions now, and then I will explain the technique, the 90-ILD, and then after that, I will go back to the questions and answer them to finish the live stream. I hope that sounds good to everybody. Nice to see some people coming in, not just on the YouTube, but on the Instagram as well. So I will take a couple of questions first. The Discord, I have made a Discord group. However, I'm not promoting it just yet because, to be honest, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm not used to Discord, but I don't see the need for it. I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. If you guys really, really do want the Discord, then I will give you the link. I will put it in the description and you can join it. However, I didn't personally think there was any benefit to it. I feel like it's more useful to make live streams or videos or blog posts. However, let me just see a few of these questions. A few more people coming in on Instagram now. In terms of the future live streams, I never know when I'm going to do them, to be honest. It's very spontaneous. I just literally turn the camera on and go. It also depends on the internet connection, which I should tell you now, it's kind of dodgy. You know, there's a good chance that this live stream might cut out. If it does cut out, and if the audio breaks or whatever, then sorry about that. I will try and do another one soon, but I probably won't continue doing this. If the internet does cut out, that is the end of the day for this live stream, unfortunately. So, and yes, to answer the question there, I am still in Bansko. I'm in Bulgaria. I'm here for about another month or so. So the internet will be dodgy, at least for the next week, and then I'm going to be changing to a different apartment. And so it should be a lot better then. So Dragon Slayer says, what is a lucid dream? Well, hopefully you already know that if you're watching this channel or these Instagram videos, but a lucid dream is a dream in which you're aware of the fact that you're dreaming while you're still asleep. So it means that the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for awareness and self-reflection, critical thought, that sort of thing, is slightly more activated than it would be if you were just asleep. It's not fully activated because otherwise you'd be awake, but it is in some way activated, more activated than if you were just sleeping and having a normal dream, I should say. So, and this enables you to basically do anything. You can control the dream, you can decide what to do, explore, have experience your fantasies, do whatever you want. There are many reasons that you would want to lucid dream. I'm not going to cover those now because I want to keep this fairly focused. I'm going to take 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're going to jump into the 90-ILD, the 90-induced lucid dreaming technique. I guarantee you haven't heard this before. At least you shouldn't have done, because I've only invented it sort of a few months ago, and I've only really promoted it or posted about it last week. So I'm just scrolling up to see some questions. Do I have a tip for the WILD technique, the wake-induced lucid dream technique? Yeah, I do. I mean, it's, to be honest, one of the more difficult techniques to master. So if you're a beginner, I would actually suggest not learning it. I would instead suggest learning things like the mild, just performing reality checks and making sure that you're actually good at doing reality checks and writing your dreams down, and basically building up the habits and staying true to the fundamentals of lucid dreaming. I feel like that's a lot more useful long term. However, if you do want to try the WILD, I would just suggest making sure that you do things associated with that. Obviously, to keep your mind awake while your body falls asleep, you need a certain amount of focus. And if you haven't or don't meditate, you're going to find that very difficult. A lot of people, and if you don't believe me, just try it. Try and sit down, close your eyes, sit down cross-legged for half an hour and don't move and don't think about anything. If you've not done it before, you're going to find it pretty hard. And so that, if you can't do that in waking life, then you're going to have a very hard time doing the WILD, because it takes roughly half an hour for your body to fall asleep. So if you can't keep focused for that half an hour, it's not going to work. So that would be my main tip, is just to make sure that you can actually focus for that long. And the best way of doing that is meditating. So meditate every morning. How long did it take me to grow my hair out this long? Slightly unrelated, but I'll take it. It took me about a year. And that is a year going, and it's now, I'm not going to untie it because it's, I've just tied it up. But it comes down to about here now, and it took me about a year. And that was from pretty much a fade, a skin fade. It was very short, maybe grade 1 on the side and maybe grade 2 or 3 on the top. So very short hair. So that's enough questions for now. Don't worry, I will answer more at the end. So the 90-induced lucid dreaming technique involves several other techniques and a combination of how they all work. And so let me explain. We have in each night, say 8 or 9 hours of sleep, we have about 5 to 6 sleep cycles. A sleep cycle is about 90 minutes long. And by the way, leave a comment if I'm going too fast, or if you want me to go back and explain something, just put a comment in the chat box. So each sleep cycle is 90 minutes long. Each sleep cycle consists of 4 sleep stages. Stage 1, 2, 3, and then stage 4, which is REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. Now, you're probably familiar with this from other techniques, like the wake back to bed, for example. The idea with that is that you are going to target your REM sleep at the end of the sleep cycles. The reason for that is because you're most likely to lucid dream during your REM sleep. In fact, almost all of your dreams happen during REM sleep, which is the 4th stage of your sleep cycle. So knowing that, most techniques like the wake back to bed, the WILD, the sense-induced, the finger-induced, whatever, they all target that last period of REM sleep where your REM sleep is the longest. So just before you wake up, your REM sleep is actually longer than any other stage, any other cycle, I should say, during the night, which is why it's most likely that you'll lucid dream during that stage, just before you wake up. It's also why it's most likely that you'll remember your dreams during that stage, because it's the most recent thing that you did. You're more likely to remember a lucid dream, or any dream actually, if you've just had it, than if you had it, say, 5 or 6 hours ago. It's sort of overwritten and erased by all of the subsequent sleep cycles. I hope this makes sense. If it does make sense, put a yes in the chat box. Maybe give the video a like. That'll be quite cool as well. So that is how it works. Okay, your sleep cycle is 90 minutes long. You're more likely to lucid dream at the end of the night. However, you do still have dreams, and you could still have lucid dreams in the other sleep cycles, in all of the other sleep cycles during the night, the other 4 or 5 sleep cycles, which is something most people forget, and this is what most techniques neglect. So the 90-ILD that I've created, the 90-induced lucid dreaming technique, involves very simply setting an alarm to wake you up every 90 minutes for the entire night. Now, by doing that, you are guaranteed to remember at least double as many dreams as you were before, because you're simply waking yourself up just after each dream. So by waking yourself up after each dream, you're not only more likely to remember them, you're more likely to lucid dream, And especially when you combine it with the actual going back to bed section, which I'm going to explain in a second, you're very likely to lucid dream. In fact, it's almost guaranteed. Not only is it almost guaranteed, but it's fairly likely that you'll have more than one lucid dream. And in fact, when I do this, I have roughly 4 or 5 dreams I remember. Obviously, 4 to 5 sleep cycles. Usually you're going to remember at least one dream from each sleep cycle, especially when you're waking yourself up directly after having the dream, instead of what most people do, which is to sleep the entire night and then hopefully cling on to some memories that they've had when they first wake up. Very hard to do that. And obviously you can, but you're more likely to remember the dream that you've just had in the most recent sleep cycle. So hopefully you can see how and why this works, right? And it amazes me that this hasn't been done before, or at least hasn't been promoted before in the lucid dreaming community. So it's more effective in terms of being able to remember your dreams. Now, that's the first element of it. And actually, for a while, I experimented just with that, and I only did the sleep alarm. So I would just set my alarm to wake me up every half an hour, every 90 minutes, whatever, every hour. And just doing that, I was able to remember at least 2 or 3 times more dreams. I was having more lucid dreams, and they were more vivid, and so on. So that's the first effective element. That's what makes it be called the 90 aisles, because every 90 minutes you're gonna wake yourself up. The second half of it is where we get a bit creative. So you've woken up after 90 minutes, you've done a reality check, okay, you've written your dreams down, whatever you can remember. And then when you go back to sleep, this is the key part. You're going to do basically a combination of all of the other techniques. So you're going to use the wake back to bed, the wild, the senses induced, the finger induced lucid dream, and so on. So when you go, so you've woken up, you've written your dreams down, you've done a reality check. Now you're going to go back to sleep after 90 minutes. Okay. When you go back to sleep, you're going to do a few things. So firstly, you're going to tell yourself in your mind over and over again, you're going to repeat the phrase, I will lucid dream. All of the affirmations that you might be familiar with from the mild, from the dialed, and so on. I will lucid dream. I can control my dreams. All of these affirmations, you're going to repeat them over and over again in your head as you fall asleep. At the same time, you're going to also do parts of the senses-induced lucid dream. So you're going to go through your senses one by one, spend 30 seconds on each sense, okay? I don't know which cameras to look at, by the way. Sorry if I'm ignoring you guys on Instagram there. So you're going to go through each sense one by one, and you're going to focus on everything that you can experience from that sense. So for example, you would start with your hearing. You would think, what can I hear? You would spend 30 seconds intensely listening to everything that you can hear. Then you would go and spend 30 seconds feeling everything you can feel. How does the bed feel against your back? Is your spine aligned properly? Are you breathing properly? What does your body feel like? So you focus on that for 30 seconds. Then you go through to your sight. Now, by this point, you should be fairly tired. And so you might be seeing, if you close your eyes, you might be seeing some hypnagogic imagery, some patterns and colors and things. Don't worry if you don't, or if you can't, it's fine. Just focus on what you can see. And if you can see nothing, that's fine. Just focus on the darkness behind your eyelids, okay? And so you would go taste is less important because you're not going to be tasting anything when you're sleeping. So, and the same with smelling. It's unlikely you're going to be having any aromas in the room unless you have incense sticks or something, in which case focus on that. But it's mainly about your hearing and your sight and how the kinesthetic, how things feel. So you focus on the senses. Now, remember, at the same time, you're telling yourself those affirmations. I will lucid dream. I can lucid dream, so on. And then to top it all off, as you're just starting to fall asleep, you're going to use the finger-induced lucid dreaming technique. So the way this works, if you don't know, you're going to take these 2 fingers. You're going to imagine that you're trilling or alternating between 2 notes on a keyboard or a piano very, very quickly. So on a keyboard, that would look like this. Then you're going to bring it down. You're going to move even less. You're going to move very, very slightly, just like this, just enough to know that you're moving. And then you're going to take it down even further and just focus on the intention of moving your 2 fingers like that. So you're not actually going to move them. You're just going to focus and just imagine what it would be like to move them. That's all you do. And at the same time as that, you continue doing the affirmations, the mantras, I will lucid dream, I am lucid dreaming, and so on. And what's going to happen is you're going to fall asleep very quickly and you're going to be very likely to lucid dream. That is the technique. Now, the reason I've explained the reasons it works so well, but what you will notice specifically about the beginning of this technique is that when you first wake up after the first 90 minutes, there's a good chance you won't remember any dreams. That's fine. That's actually to be expected, okay? And by the way, I will get to the questions in a minute, guys, I promise. Please try and hold on to those just for a second. But also, please give this video a like or share. Anything you can do to help promote this and get the word out will be very appreciated. So, like I was saying, the first 90 minutes, you're unlikely to remember dreams For most of you, right? You're unlikely to remember dreams because you will be excited about the technique. You're going to be thinking about what you're going to do when you become lucid and so on. That's fine. And it's actually good that you don't remember any dreams the first time, because what will happen is you will experience REM rebound. So by waking yourself up after 90 minutes, if you haven't quite slipped into REM sleep yet, and your sleep cycles vary in length depending on you as a person. If you haven't had REM sleep by the time you're woken up the first time, that's actually a good thing, because you will then get REM rebound the second time, the second 90-minute section. You will have a longer period of REM sleep. So you can see how, sorry, I will try and slow down, by the way. I just saw a comment saying I'm speaking too fast. I'm just so excited about this technique. So you will actually make it easier for yourself to lucid dream just by doing this 90-minute interruption. So don't worry if you can't remember anything the first 90 minutes. It will come, and it will actually become more likely as you go through the night. Each 90-minute section, it becomes much more likely that you'll lucid dream. And so you're massively stacking the odds in your favor with this technique. You're basically taking everything that we know about lucid dreaming and sleep and how the body works during sleep, and you're stacking it all in your favor. You're making it very, very likely that you will, at the very least, remember your dreams. Remember 2 or 3 dreams that night. And indeed, at the best, lucid dream at least once. And I can't stress this enough. It's pretty guaranteed. I mean, I don't want to say it's completely guaranteed, but you give it a try. Okay, give it a try. So that's the reason that it works so well. Now, in terms of tips for doing this, I would say just focus on learning the steps. And by the way, there is a blog post explaining this in much more detail. And I will link that in the description of this video, but you could just go to howtolucid.com, or you could just type into Google 90ILD, 90ILD, which stands for the 90-Induced Lucid Dream. You will see my site, howtolucid.com. It should be near the top because I invented the technique. And so that's it. Now, I would encourage you to really try this technique. Don't just read about it or listen to it and think, oh, that's a cool idea, and don't do anything else. Guys, this is fairly effective, if not the most effective way I know of having a lucid dream. Now, the only warning or side effect that I can give you for this technique, the only downside, and it is a big downside, is that if you do this, you will feel tired the next day. I'm telling you now, you will feel fatigued, maybe even frustrated, annoyed. You will feel like you don't have energy. And that's simply because you're interrupting your sleep so often. In an ideal world, you shouldn't interrupt your sleep at all. You should sleep through the entire 8 or 9 hours. So just bear that in mind, okay? It is not a long-term technique. This is basically for if you're in a rut, okay? If you are finding it hard to lucid dream, if you are struggling, or if you're a beginner and you just want to feel what it's actually like to have a lucid dream, you just want your first experience, this is the fastest way I know for you to have a lucid dream tonight. I can't think of any other way. Even supplements, even binaural beats combined with supplements, I feel like they're nowhere near as effective as this technique. And I have tried this. This isn't just something I just invented for this live stream. I did actually test and refine this over the period of about 6 months. And that's literally, this is the best version of it that I know. Now, you might be interested to know that when I first developed this technique, it wasn't how it looked today. It started off just as the interruption, loosely based on something else I read about, which is the cycle adjustment technique, but not really. It's slightly different. Basically, all I did is I set an alarm to go off every 20 minutes for the entire night. And as you can imagine, what happened is nothing. I was unable to slip into REM sleep until about 4 a.m. And when I did, I was very easily woken up and I couldn't really remember anything. And I definitely wasn't lucid. So 90 minutes, obviously the average length of a sleep cycle, is much more effective. Okay, so I'm going to take some questions now. Hopefully that made sense. If it did make sense, or if you like this technique, please give this video a like or leave a comment or something. And don't forget to subscribe to How to Lucid on YouTube. And if you're not following me on Instagram, go and check out How to Lucid. So this live stream, by the way, I don't know how long it will be. I'm just going to keep talking until I need to go and have a drink of some coffee or something. So I'll take a question from username DRGDFHG. What if your sleep cycle is not 90 minutes? What if it's less or more than 90 minutes? Well, that's the beauty of this technique. It doesn't matter. Like I said, most sleep cycles will be less or more than 90 minutes. So the first time you do this, the first 90-minute chunk, you're unlikely to wake yourself up just after you've finished dreaming. And that is intentional. That means that you're going to get REM rebound, and it's going to be more likely the second time. So each successive 90-minute chunk, it becomes more likely that you'll have REM sleep just before you're woken up by your alarm. So don't worry too much, about the length of your sleep cycles. Your body is pretty adaptable. So if you wake yourself up after 90 minutes, the body will think, oh, well, I didn't quite get into REM sleep. So maybe next time I'll do it slightly faster. And it literally does this. It literally adapts to things on the fly. So especially the second and third 90-minute chunk, it's very, very likely that your body will have adapted and you will have had REM sleep just before being woken up, hence being able to remember your dreams very, very vividly. Can you do this in the day? No, you cannot do this in the day, unfortunately, because this is focused on, unless you're going to sleep for 8 or 9 hours during the day, which I doubt you can do because most naps only last about 90 minutes. I personally can't sleep for more than 20 minutes during the day, and even that's a challenge. So it needs to be a time where your body naturally would sleep for 8 to 9 hours. So I'm just going to scroll up to the other questions. Can you spell the name of the technique? Literally, it's just 90, the digits 90, and then ILD, 90 ILD, 90 induced lucid dream. But again, there'll be a link to the blog post in the description. And I will try and put the title of this video as something useful as well. So yeah, exactly, 90 ILD, just like that. If you Google that technique name or that keyword now, you will find my blog post from my site, howtolucid.com, which has a lot more information. I actually share a few personal stories about how I was developing this technique and how it came about and why I decided to create it. So yeah, exactly, like wild, but instead of W, you put 90, exactly like that. So galantamine, I'm just looking at this question from the real Aussie Pete. Galantamine would probably have an effect on 90 ILD. However, I was using galantamine simply because it's quite an intense supplement. For a lot of people, it has many side effects, gastrointestinal side effects, nausea, and it can be quite difficult to take galantamine successfully. But there are studies that show that it has an effect on lucid dreams, so it's entirely up to you. The internet died a bit. Is the connection still good, guys? Can you still hear me? Is the video still there? Leave a comment letting me know if this stream is still live, because I have no way of knowing. Okay, so yes, it is exhausting. Just looking at a comment on Instagram here, it is exhausting, not for long term. And so I would not suggest doing this every night. I would suggest, if at most, doing this once a week. Maybe do it every weekend, for example, every Saturday. That would be good, especially because if you need to have a day basically where the next day you don't have to do anything in particular. So if you're working Monday to Friday, don't do it on a Wednesday, for example, because you'll be knackered on Thursday morning. Instead, do it on Saturday or Friday night, and then you can wake up on Saturday morning nice and late. You can have a nice breakfast in bed, whatever, and read back your beautiful lucid dreams, which you will have just had. Unfortunately, I can't summarize what I just said before. It's quite detailed, but this live stream will be recorded and it will just be a video that you can watch back on my YouTube channel. So don't worry, you won't miss anything. Any more tips for inducing the 90 ILD? Yeah, I have. Probably one of the most important things with this, and probably one of the biggest warnings I can give you, which I should have mentioned before, because you're interrupting your sleep every 90 minutes, it's incredibly likely that you will have false awakenings. This is where your body starts to think, oh, well, I was just woken up 90 minutes ago, and then 90 minutes before that, maybe I'm just about to be woken up again. And so it's incredibly likely, for a few reasons, that you will have false awakenings where you dream about the alarm going off while you're still asleep. Easiest way to combat that, just do a reality check as soon as you wake up every single time. If you don't do that, it's going to be very likely you're going to have false awakenings. They've been called other things like false awakening loops, dream traps, dream lucid nightmares, whatever. So just make sure that the first thing you do when your alarm goes off every single 90 minutes is a reality check. I know it sounds like it's a bit excessive, but trust me, when you've experienced false awakenings or a false awakening loop, you will take my word, you will want to do reality checks. It's quite an annoying and frustrating experience. So that's the technique. What do you think? Well, I'd love to hear what you think about this technique. Has anyone tried anything like this? I feel like a lot of people would have tried something similar in terms of setting the alarm, but I don't know, or I haven't heard of anyone trying the alarm interruption every 90 minutes combined with all of those other things, the affirmations, the most effective elements from each technique. Now, you can make this even more effective if you want to. You could, for example, take supplements. You could also listen to binaural beats. These things will just boost the likelihood of these things happening, make your dreams that much more vivid, more intense. If you are interested in that, go and check out howtolucid.com. There's on the top bar of the menu, there's a tab that says resources, and on that page you will find my top picks for everything, for supplements, for binaural beats, for everything that you can imagine that you might want to take or use to make lucid dreaming more effective. So I'm just now going to look at the Instagram comments here on my Instagram, How to Lucid. There aren't actually many because the Instagram page has actually lost a lot of reach recently. The algorithm changed on Instagram, and so not many people are actually going to be seeing this on Instagram. However, if you are on Instagram, please go and leave a comment quickly in the chat, and I'll try and answer it. Now, the YouTube comments. There's a few more of these. So, how do I do the wild technique? Because I get really itchy when I do it and I move. Well, like I said, the wild technique is actually not for beginners. It's quite difficult to maintain focus for that long on something like staying awake. So I would suggest if you're finding it hard not to move, you need to do two things. One, relax all of your muscles and make sure you're completely comfortable before you try it. Completely comfortable. You've scratched all your itches, you've shuffled around, you're not too cold, you're not too hot. You're completely comfortable. And two, meditate. You need to meditate every morning. The longer you meditate for, up to about an hour, the more effective and the more useful, sorry, not the more useful, the easier you will find the wake-induced lucid dreaming technique. So, an Instagram comment, do you feel lucid dreaming has taken you anywhere? Well, I mean, aside from all of the adventures that I've had in my lucid dreams, I feel like it's connected me with some amazing people, some lucid dreaming influencers, website owners, whatever. I've made some good friends in that space. It's also been a passion of mine. I love sharing this information and experimenting and making these videos and things like that. So the Real Aussie Pete says, I find flying my drones and VR helps lucidity. I would agree. And it's nice to see a fellow drone pilot, a drone racer in the chat, because I don't know if you know, I have a channel called Transcend FPV, which is where I share my drone flying videos. In particular, I do this thing where I have a set of FPV goggles, and they enable me to see what the drone sees. So my drone, it's not with me now, but my drone at home is about this big, about the size of a deck of playing cards, and I can fly it around my house. And through these goggles, I can see everything the drone sees. So it literally feels like I'm flying. And because of that, and I guess this is similar to virtual reality, I've had loads of dreams where I've been flying around the house as my drone. Sounds kind of weird, I know, but it's escapism, and it also helps with that immersion into the impossible, or into things which most people don't experience. For example, flying around your house as a tiny little drone, most people don't experience that. So it's like seeing your reality in a completely different perspective. So I'll now look at some comments and consider ending this live stream at about half an hour, in about 2 minutes time. So if you have any questions, leave a comment now and I'll try and answer it. I would advise to leave a comment on the YouTube, because the Instagram, I think the connection's dying a bit on the Instagram, to be honest, but never mind. Let me just look here. It's always interesting doing these live streams. I never know what comments I'm going to get. So, a question on Instagram. How long did it take before I had my first lucid dream with practice? Well, this is a difficult one, because my first lucid dream was actually an accident, and it only lasted about 5 seconds or less. And I was definitely not in control. All I was aware of the fact that I was dreaming. I wasn't able to decide what to do or manipulate the dream in any way, because it was an accident. I was a kid. I had never meditated at all. So it was very much a fluke. However, after that, it took me about 1 or 2 years really to fully get interested in lucid dreaming and decide to pursue it and learn as much as I could about it. So, but then once I was practicing, maybe it took me maybe 2 or 3 months of practice and reading about it. But that wasn't an intense 2 or 3 months. That was just me fumbling around, reading things, not really practicing, just sort of loosely interested in it and wanting it to happen, but not practicing things. So that, hopefully that answers the question. TO4 Entertainment says, what should I do when I become lucid? Well, this is the beauty of it. You can do anything. You can literally do anything you can imagine. It will all feel very real, very vivid. I would advise to start with, just do whatever's most exciting to you. You know, fly around, fulfill your fantasies, explore things, climb mountains, fight dragons, just do all these exciting things that you are unable to do in waking life. And then once you've done that for a few months, you'll get bored of that and probably, well, maybe not, but you're more likely to want to do more practical things and maybe more spiritual things, like understanding your mind and your purpose and all of this stuff. So the totem, just answering Raj's question here, the totem that I use is just I don't use one. I use my hand like this. I just do a reality check. When I do use totems, however, I use, I think it's called the Lucid Talisman, which is, I don't know if it's still for sale. It tends to go in and out of sale or in and out of stock fairly often. But if you type in Lucid Talisman to either this channel or Google, you should see my review of this totem. I wish I had it with me, but I obviously didn't bring it with me. It's a disc about this big, and it has lucid dreaming inscriptions and patterns, and it has a picture of the sun and the moon. And the idea is you carry it with you, and then it has a certain thing that it does in lucid dreams that it doesn't do in waking life. So that's my favorite totem. You may be surprised to hear I don't actually use the Inception spinning top because, well, the main reason is it's quite hard to find a surface to spin it on if you're out and about. You know, if you're walking down the street and you want to do a reality check, what are you going to do? You can't easily spin it on your hand. It just falls over. So, and yeah, you can make your own totem. Just answering Cashinator on the YouTube, you can make your own totem. So on the Instagram, a question: is there a way to lucid dream in the middle of the day without taking a nap or sleeping? No, because lucid dreaming is a state which you can only experience when you're asleep. So if you're awake, that's just a daydream. That's something different. You can have a daydream, but that's more, you're just using your imagination. You're not actually dreaming. So now, what is the best reality check when you're doing the finger-induced lucid dream? To be honest, my answer to this is the same as I would answer to any reality check question. By far, in my experience, the most effective reality check is the finger palm push. You take this hand, you try and push this finger through the palm. As you do it, you expect it to go through. In the dream, it will go through. In waking life, it won't. It will always have that same resistance. And there's no way you can get a false positive with this check. With other checks, like for example, say if my check was to read the text on this pack of playing cards, because your prefrontal cortex is not completely active, it's very easy for you to read it in a dream, see it all jumbled up and think, oh, that's normal. You know, that it's meant to be like that. And then the reality check has failed and you're not lucid. However, with the finger palm push, it's unmistakable. There is no way that you can do this halfway. You know, your finger either goes through your hand or it doesn't. So you're either lucid or you're not. So the best way to start lucid dreaming, Callum, is the 90 IELTS, the 90 induced lucid dreaming technique, because it pretty much guarantees that you'll have a lucid dream the first night you try it. So it's going to be very motivating, and it's going to help you get motivated and excited about lucid dreaming. Richie says, is out-of-body experience a lucid dream? No, they are different. There are different states of consciousness that you can experience. For example, OBEs, lucid dreaming, near-death experiences, all sorts of things. Lucid dreaming is just one of those states. So no, an out-of-body experience, more commonly known as near-death experience, is very different, but Google it and see what you can find. So I'm going to be ending the stream in a second, and I'm not sure when I will do a new one. However, leave a comment now, and I'll try and answer as many as I can just before I go. So yeah, I'm just looking at the YouTube comments now and some of the Instagram comments. The fastest way to lucid dream is the 90 IELTS, in my opinion, but don't take my word for it. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. And yeah, if you like these streams, then I will try and do more of them. I did a couple before. They seem to go all right, in my opinion. I mean, I get the questions coming in. So consciousness versus reality check, which is better? Not quite sure what the meaning is behind that question. However, yeah. Is it possible to dream about Japanese anime? Because how can you dream if it's not real in the first place? Yeah, well, you can dream about anything. It doesn't have to be real. Like, for example, I dreamt the other day that I was running around a planet with no atmosphere. I was floating, running in the air. Now, I don't know if that planet is real, but it doesn't matter because your mind makes it real. So if you want to have a dream about Japanese anime, that's completely possible and indeed easy. You know, you just expect to dream about it. Okay. Somebody says, I sent you an app to look at and review for lucid dreaming. I assume you sent that on Instagram, Elena. I will check that out and review it. Don't worry, I will get to it eventually. Okay. Richie says, can you practice skills in a lucid dream and convert it to real life? Yeah, absolutely, you can. So this tends to be more effective with physical skills like martial arts, driving, climbing, things, the things that you would need to practice to get your mind in the right place. However, you can also do it for things like drawing. Yeah, you can practice pretty much anything in a lucid dream. The one caveat of this is you cannot learn things in a lucid dream. You can't learn new things. You can only consolidate things that you already know. But that being said, there are studies that have shown it is definitely more effective to practice things in a lucid dream as well. There was a study, I can't remember the exact citation of this, but there was a study which showed people learning a skill. One group learned the skill and practiced it in waking life only. Another group only tried to practice the skill in a lucid dream. And the third group practiced it in waking life and the lucid dream. And by far, the third group improved the fastest. It wasn't even close. It was just exponentially much easier and faster for these people to learn the skill if they were not only practicing it in waking life, but then consolidating what they know in a lucid dream. So, do I ever run out of ideas in lucid dreams? Well, no, that's the beauty of it. If you just literally become lucid, your brain will do the rest. Your subconscious mind never runs out of ideas. It will just constantly create new ideas and situations. All you have to do is just experience it. That's the beauty of it. Raj says, handwritten or digital journal. Sorry, just quickly before that, the lucid dreaming app that I created, How to Lucid, it's on the App Store for iOS. It's not currently on Android, and I don't know when it's going to be on Android because it's expensive to develop apps, and I didn't receive much support in the way of Patreon or indeed downloads. It's got a few downloads, but not enough people were excited about it for some reason. So going back to the question from Raj, handwritten versus digital journal. Well, both. You need to do both because it's very difficult to type on a laptop if you're trying to be subtle. You know, if you've just woken up and it's the middle of the night, you don't want to wake yourself up with the bright light of a screen. So what I would suggest to do is to write notes on a handwritten journal and then type those notes up into a digital journal on your laptop. That way you can search through it and so on. So 1 minute in a dream equals how long in reality? Well, it's entirely subjective. So yeah, it's entirely subjective. I find that 1 minute feels like about 10 minutes, roughly. But it can feel like a lot longer. You know, one or 2 minutes can feel like hours or even days, depending on what you're dreaming about. So it really is incredible in that sense. Okay. So somebody said, S. Burmaic says, I've had lucid dreams 5 times, loved them, but last time or scared me. Can things hurt you somehow? Nothing in a dream can physically hurt you. That being said, it's possible to dream about something which might be emotionally painful. You could, for example, dream about recreating a breakup or recreating the death of a loved one. In a dream, anything can happen. So, be aware of that. But don't let that stop you lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is a beautiful skill to develop for many reasons. Okay, so Malej says, tell us about some of the false awakenings. What if I forget to do the reality check in a dream? Well, when I said about the reality checks, I didn't actually mean to do them in a dream, although you may well do. What I meant was to actually do a reality check as soon as you wake up in waking life to avoid the false awakening. So, do you write dream signs on your hand? Sometimes, yeah. If there's something that's like really, really occurring quite often in my dreams recently, I'll write it on my hand and just look at it every now and then to remind me to do a reality check when I see that thing. So, is it possible to make your lucid dream feel longer, prolong the dream? Yes, there are a few ways that you can do this. You can spin around on the spot, you can rub your hands together, but in general, those things only work because you expect them to. Really, the best way of prolonging your lucid dreams is to make sure that you're having a long period of REM sleep, which is done by sleeping healthily for 8 to 9, eating properly as well, eating ideally a plant-based diet, but don't listen to me on that. Just do your own research, eat a healthy diet, and also meditate every morning, and you'll find that you'll be able to stay in the lucid dreaming state for much longer. Or likely you are to stay in the dream. That means if you enter the dream and immediately start having intense sexual experiences with everyone you can find, you're probably going to wake up fairly soon. However, if you walk around and just have conversations, climb a tree, for example, you're going to stay in the dream for longer. Makes sense, right? So I think that'll be it for now, guys. Leave a comment and watch out for my next video, which will be coming soon. Check out the 90-isled lucid dream. Okay, I made a blog post explaining in much more detail how this works, and there's also a bonus section at the end of that post. So go and type into Google 90-isled, or go and click on the link in the description. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Done. Now I'm going to have to figure out how to actually end this live stream. I think we go here, end there. Okay.